anybody says something they want to take back later, I'll.
That's what you get from.
Yeah, man. I'm normally the one that hits out with something savage. Like, my mouth is too quick for my brain sometimes.
It's all right, I've got your back, mate. Just let me know what you want redacted, and I'll do it for you. No.
So basically, we've been a band for I would say about maybe 3 years now. Is that right? 3 or 4 years. Just kind of like practicing writing our own tunes, just in like local studios and things like that. It's only really been the past 2 years, obviously, like writing, recording for the album and releasing that things really started to get, a bit more serious. But we have been plugging away at it for quite a while now, I would say.
You guys love a good riff, and like, I'm a massive fan of riffs. And that's what I think stood out to me. I'm pretty sure it was Lost Generation, which was the first, my introduction. And immediately, fuck me, I was like, where is this coming from? And really, really enjoyed that album. So, like, hats off to you guys.
Glad you liked it, man.
Top quality album. Like, really had a lot of fun with it. And that's what music's about, right? It should be fun. So, look, what was the process? You've been working on it for a couple of years. Where does it all start for you guys?
It's a total jam process, really, isn't it? Like, that's how everything we've really done has just been us in the studio. Like, Paddy but it's usually Paddy, obviously being the guitarist, is like jamming out some riffs, and then we'll get together some sort of basic structure for part of a song, and then we'll go like, right, what could come next after that? Like, let's get another riff sorted for the verse, let's try and jam something out. And then once there's a really rough structure, that's when, we can go back and go like, oh, this might sound a little bit better with this note instead, or like with this rhythm instead, or drums doing this.
Spend a while fine-tuning it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said about the riffs, like that is really what the songs are kind of built around.
Cool.
We'd come in with a riff, we'd get the drums sorted for it, and we'd keep going until we found a riff which like really had us all jumping off our seat. Like, if we write anything which maybe one of us isn't that sure about, like we'll just patch it, bin it, until we found stuff which we were all really buzzing for, and then we just kind of build the song around that.
Like, I'm almost quality control as well. Like, I'm very, very, very hard on us. Like, I am like perfection, and what happens is how good a riff is tends to be how excited I am when we're playing it. And that's how we know
to break down. We've got a good one going.
What we have is like, we'll have like a really sick breakdown, and then we're like, right, okay, this song is a delivery system for this breakdown. But then there is other ones that the format, when we take it, like we, tend to have quite, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-verse. Like, we have quite a few sections, so the songs that we write like that tend to suit themselves more to like having a story behind them, and kind of piecing it together that way.
A lot of the songs on the album were written like maybe 2, 3, even 4 years ago. Really, they've been waiting, sitting in the pipeline. I think Bed of Nails and The Binding were 2 of the first songs we ever wrote.
Yeah, 2.
Okay, I was going to ask which one.
Back then it was really all about how would the crowd vibe, how would they react to this. We want all our shows to be one big giant party, really. We don't really like lulls in the shows all that much. So a lot of the songs were kind of built around that.
Yeah, especially with the album, the way it's recorded as well. It's like, we want the sound that you hear on an album to be what you get live. We don't have a lot of like backing tracks or synths. Like, even our effects that we use on stage are very old school. Like, I've got a lot of contacts where we've like, it's like old school like lighting rigs, like old school like smoke machines and stuff like that. So it's a very kind of like analog show. Like, we don't have a lot of fancy stuff, so we want you to like, what you hear on the album is like what you get live and more. Like, it's really built. We shine live. Like, that's where you really want to see it.
You guys had it's the gritty, I think, is the word I'm looking for. So it had that bounciness, but there was that, some of the toning as well to the guitars. There was like that crunchy, like really like crispy, crunchy. I don't really know how to describe it. You're dealing with an absolute novice music-wise. So I really can't play an instrument. I've got zero talent, but I just know what I like the sound of, and I know that there was a lot about that album I really liked. Listening to it, thinking I fucking love to see these guys live.
But the one thing that we're really gutted is that about 2 weeks after like the first lockdown started, was meant to be our album release shows. Definitely, like we had Glasgow and Edinburgh were planned. Like, we had big gigs planned for that, and we had like really big ideas for them. That will at some point come to fruition, but just as hadn't to be obviously put on that back burner. And we are desperate to actually play like the album in full, proper, full like stage show. We got supports lined up that would just be perfect for it. And but yeah, like definitely we cut our teeth a lot doing live shows before we really honed what we wanted to be that studio sound. 100%. Yeah, did lots of great shows down in like Manchester, Stockport. A lot of good times meeting folk down there and playing gigs down that way. Up in Inverness, we had a pretty interesting live show. In terms of the show, it was just really weird. I can't even remember the name of the venue, but it was like an attic show in this bar, and we were set up like in the corner of this room where there was like a big couch kind of seating area. And there was maybe room for 20 folk, and that was like, really it. And
maybe.
Like, and the folk there, I don't think necessarily heavy music was their thing, but they were like, you know what, we're here, we'll have a laugh, we'll have a good time. And then we went and camped after the show in a little kind of wild camping spot that we'd found before, which was just great fun. Just like brought a bunch of cans, and I slept in the car, and then had just the worst hangover. The worst hangover driving back from Inverness down to Glasgow. I put a smooth jazz playlist on in the car because I couldn't bear to listen to anything else.
Norwich was a bit of a crazy one as well.
Norwich was insane.
Yeah, we were playing a bunch of shows in England, and we were playing a few down like near Manchester and Sheffield. And like I used to live near Manchester, so we've always got mates of mine who we can come and crash at if we are ever in that area. So I think we played a show in Manchester, Sheffield, and then Norwich the next day. And then another show back up near Manchester the day after that. And we really didn't anticipate how long the drive to Norwich was. Oh my God, it was brutal. Just country roads for like 5 or 6 hours.
In the dead of the night, we didn't realise how long the drive actually between places to get to Norwich is. And it was at one point, like I was driving and I was trying so hard to keep awake. We were playing that game where you say like one word of a story. Like
I get, yeah.
And we honestly, we kept it going for about 2 hours.
Oh,
hello.
Hello. Paul has entered the chat. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, really good, man. Top
Awesome,
man. We're still pretty early doors. We're just talking road stories at the moment.
Okay.
Being regaled of your time to Norwich.
Don't have really many exciting road stories with me. We never got the chance.
we
would have had loads.
The album and then did a couple shows with you, and then COVID hit.
Yeah. I had a chance at a show in Germany, and it would have been our first European show, and like from Spotify and everything, like excited because I knew we would have killed in Germany. Like I knew they would have totally like really dug our shit. We got booked in London once. We've always found it. We found it very hard to break into London, like very hard to get shows there.
So basically what happened, this promoter we had, I'm not going to name names or anything, but she booked us for what apparently it was, we found out the day before we were meant to drive down, booked the van out and everything.
Yeah, rented the van.
It was a jazz club. And on the email that he'd sent to all the bands,
literally right first line, before he goes, "Dear Sir or Madam," before that, at the very top with like bold, big asterisks, there was like absolutely no metal acts.
Oh, wow.
So we phoned our promoter up and it was like, "Here, do you want to double check with this, with the guy down in London? We are a metal band. Has he heard our stuff or anything like that?" And she's like, "Oh, it should be fine, but I'll double check with you." And then then we got it back from her like 20 minutes later, and it was like, "Yeah, no, he doesn't want you to play, sorry."
Oh, no way.
And it was such a shame too, because we got so many comments on our Insta, like of people that had never seen us from London but had heard us. There was a couple of lassies, and they were like, "Right, when are you guys on?" And we were like, "It's a jazz club," and they're like, "We're standing outside waiting for you guys to play." And
I had friends who were meant to come as well, and it was a whole big kerfuffle. That was like quite a while ago, though.
Get the chance to play some of the new songs from the album previously live?
Yeah, we've been honing these songs for a long time. We've been playing and then we also had changed, a few of the songs based on feedback that we'd gotten over the years. Like, this has got a sick riff, it's got a cool vocal hook. And then we played it in Manchester, and it was just like dead silence. And we were like, oh my god, like I don't think we've ever had a song bomb like that.
I don't think I know the Mother Teresa song.
Oh, you don't want to know, man.
I want to know.
I think back in the early days, live shows to kind of assess how good a song was, and if you wanted to go forward with it, like if it got a sick reaction, then we'd obviously carry on with the tune. If it got kind of lukewarm, we'd probably end up dropping it.
Which is why I think the kind of album really does stand out. Like we've had these songs for ages. We've been honing them. We've been sitting on them. We chose the order very deliberately, to keep it running in that feel throughout it.
So. It's very rare for me to have what I call a clean sweep, where I'm listening to an album and literally every song gets a like or it gets a down. A handful of albums. It's increased recently since I've started doing the page. My eyes have been widened to what else is out there. But prior to that it was a rare commodity other than the interlude. But I don't count that. It's an interlude,
Yes.
That doesn't count. I mean, it's a clean sweep. When you were playing them live, which song comes to mind as one where you were like, this is going to translate well? People are going to really like this one.
Probably American Horror Story.
Yeah.
I think that one's always had.
That one's,
so what we do, we kind of take a lot from Slipknot at that bit.
Yeah.
So the big build up before the drop, we'd get everyone ready to fucking bounce. We'd have everything ready, and then instead of dropping it when everyone's expecting, we just
hold it.
Just stop.
Hold
it. You just see how long you can take it.
30 seconds, just really push the crowd, and then when we do finally come back in with it, it's just carnage and chaos, like back to front, like the whole room's a mosh pit. So probably my favourite song to play on the album, definitely.
One of the few songs that I actually get to start is the one called Hear Me, and it starts with that really simple like bass, and like live I've got a radio pack, so like when that hits, I'm literally just like right in the crowd. I'm just like getting in people's faces and shit like that, and as soon as that intro hits, it is honestly, everyone's just swinging, man. It's such a good feeling to have people kicking the shit out of each other to your music. It's like, oh.
Honestly, American Horror Story, I'm totally with you there, Paddy. But I think back to when we played Manchester in 2019, when we played Lost Generation. I think it was the last song of the night as well. I think it was the last song of our set. But everyone seemed to really like that. I can just remember just like the adrenaline, just even though it was the last song, like just like a second wind almost. And that really, I think that helped like solidify that. 'Cause that was the first single we were going with too. We told everyone that night, and everyone fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I like Dream Seeker as well. I think that one's really, really upbeat, and that's how you get, if it's riffy, if it's groovy, if it's fast tempo, doesn't slow up. And that's what I like about the album as well, is that it doesn't give you a lot of room to breathe. It's pretty constant and full on.
The worst mishmash of everything you've ever heard.
So like this, I've got the Slipknot top on, but I've got my Rush tattoo.
Oh wow, yeah.
Big away.
So absolutely not. That's getting screen time. So like from genuinely like my dad introduced me to Rush when I was like 8 years old, and from then until the day I die, is always going to be Rush is the influence behind any of my playing. And then like games like Need for Speed Underground 2. And all the Guitar Hero games was like my introduction to metal. So like Disturbed and Hand of Blood by Bullet and stuff like that was like my first introduction to like metal stuff. So I really didn't catch up in that scene until late high school, was really the kind of when I started listening to like the heavier stuff. But a lot of my kind of my inspirations are like prog, rock and metal and folk. Like I love folk music as well, like that kind of stuff's really my jam.
Like not far off Kieran as well, with like video games being a huge like influence. Guitar Hero, Tony Hawk's Underground, all those. But yeah, exactly. The punk beginning.
Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, let alone Underground, mate.
Banger after banger.
On the CKY as well. Yeah.
Oh God, aye. Just phenomenal stuff. But I remember like being 8 or 9 or something, and like my uncle moved from Glasgow to London. He couldn't take a lot of stuff. He had all these CDs, so he gave me a bunch of his CDs. It was all like System and Korn and Metallica. I just like ate all of those up as much as I could. And then as I grew older, my mum was really into metal music, and my oldest sister, she's not into it anymore. But this would have been like 2006. maybe.
Okay.
So like when Enter Shikari were just coming up, Bring Me the Horizon, all those, everybody had big fringes and the raccoon tails and the light up belts. She was like super into that, and I remember her showing me like Funeral for a Friend, Enter Shikari, and like those were two at that time. I'd listened to like Korn and everything, but then really like Funeral for a Friend and Enter Shikari really broke down and everything. Shikari have been one of my favorite bands since then. They're probably the biggest one.
Yeah, live as well.
Oh, phenomenal. Unbelievable.
Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, Blink 182, Sum 41. That was kind of, and even a bit before that, like my old man was more into Britpop, steady, gentle ease into it. Started off with Oasis and Blur, bit of Pulp, and then you've got Nirvana, your Green Days, and then who were your first loves in music?
I was really lucky that when I was 12 when the first like big old iPod came out, the big huge brick one. And I remember like my dad had like it was like a full bookcase wall just full of CDs. And what I would do is like I would literally, judging a book by its cover, but I was literally like going through them at like 12 or 13 and like finding the ones with the covers that I thought looked really cool and just adding them onto the iPod. And my dad had such a collection, and it literally went from like, Aya Napa, like Ibiza Beats to like Rolling Stones to like, Linkin Park to God. So like the first album that like really stuck with me was like I came across, it was Rage Against the Machine's first album, the one with the Burning Monk cover.
Yeah.
And like as a kid, that was the first time I'd kind of come across an image so like powerful. I remember like looking at the album, just the album cover, honestly, for like hours at a time, because it's the first time I'd been seeing something like such a powerful image. And listening to the music as well, it was the first time I'd ever heard anything even close to like metal. What the fuck can music sound like this? And through that, like I was just like, holy shit! And he's like got the bass that's like really, really funky. And it's been obviously a major part of my playing, so I try to emulate, live, and that just opened me up to everything. Was like finding that Rage Against the Machine album, and also opens you up to kind of like, and obviously with what they talk about, the kind of injustices in the world as well, which you do kind of have to be aware of and shit like that. So that was a really, really powerful album for me at the start.
Yeah, that's a great introduction into the world of metal.
It was pure weird. Like I was kind of similar to you, and like my dad was big into Pulp, Radiohead, The Clash, so I was raised on quite a lot of eclectic stuff like that. I always had a soft spot for The Clash when I was like 5 or 6 years old, because it'd be what we listened to in the car all the time. And that kind of went into pop punk, so Good Charlotte and Sum 41 back in like 2003, 2004. I'll be listening constantly on my MP3 player.
Yep.
Constantly. Them and the Beatles, actually. Like Beatles were at one point my favourite band. And then I just heard Hybrid Theory one day, and it just changed everything. From that point on, I was like, wow, rap is awesome. Hip hop, metal, merge them together. Give me those beats, give me those jumps, and that was just it for me. After that, it was
all
just
the bands you mentioned. That was my teenage years growing up. Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Blink 182, Sum 41, Good Charlotte, Slipknot. Absolutely love. It took a while to get into them. They were at the time, Slipknot were what I considered to be like, they were like the heaviest of heavy. So I think early 2000s, 2001 in early teen my eyes, it's like that is the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life. And that's the ceiling. Obviously now I think you look back and it's relatively tame. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what else is that?
For my playing, I would say Parkway Drive. I know you're gonna turn your nose up at that for some reason. But like Parkway Drive, While She Sleeps, and Fever 333.
Okay.
Those three, and maybe Straight from the Path as well. I would say those 4 bands are like my favourite artists for the past 5 or 6 years.
Stray for me are like the new Rage Against the Machines in some way.
I can't get enough of Stray.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're meant to be playing at Slam Dunk this year.
Slam Dunk.
But that was I think prior to COVID, and I think they have said we've lost a couple, but they haven't announced who yet. I'm really hoping they're not one of them, because I think they're fucking awesome.
They're unbelievable.
They're so incredible live. Like I've seen them like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, we caught them a couple of months before COVID happened, didn't we? It was like December 2019. We seen them in G2. The Devil Wears Prada. That was a screamer of a show.
Oh wow.
Oh man, remember gigs? Oh man.
We're not trying to be like X. We're not trying to be like Y. We're not all collectively all trying to be like a certain band.
With,
you know,
with Lost Generation, like I honestly hear a lot of like City of Evil by Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay.
That kind of like almost like that kind of epic song.
Yeah.
Kind of big chorus and kind of connected by riffs. You know, like I always kind of felt like City of Evil was kind of.
There's a place for every ugly. Sorry, go on.
That's 3 artists that you can be on a live venue show with.
Skindred.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something I remember us being asked a similar question to that a wee while back, and someone said Skindred, and ever since then I've gone, yeah, I would love to be in a show with Skindred. Yeah, exactly, just like fun, big show, like big atmosphere, everyone just having fun.
Yeah.
Fun is the key word there, absolutely. Like, you need that. Personally, for me, Every Time I Die, they're like up there.
Yeah.
Like, that is the absolute dream for me to play with them. Enter Shikari, obviously. Third one, like, honestly, it would be something stupid, like My Chemical Romance.
Oh yeah,
like just to share the stage.
Last album, it's the one with the really long title.
The Danger Days, the Fabulous. The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys.
That's the one. See, yeah, no, I was devastated when they broke up, but I thought, is it really appropriate for me to get upset about My Chemical Romance? I'm not a teenage girl. So.
You thought you were over it until they came back.
Well, exactly, and then it just made me remember what we'd once had and what we'd lost. So look, who have you discovered recently, preferably through the page, but if not, who's new on the scene that you've also been exposed to recently that have kind of caught you off guard and you think, fucking hell, where have they come from?
Who's going to mention Hessian Renegades first?
You. Hessian Renegades, absolutely. Like, they're honestly my favourite Glasgow band, I think. Static Dress, they came about last year, and then obviously, everything was looking great, and then COVID happened.
You posted about these on your page today or yesterday, actually. I saw Dead.
Yes.
Dead have been about for quite a while.
Yeah,
but I heavy got into Dead last year, and that album's just killer all the way through.
God, I saw them with an ex about 6 years ago.
Weird flex.
Our rivalry with Exploring Birdsong, come on.
You're just making rivalries to everyone. Just don't go look at Slipknot's numbers.
So onto the more pressing matters.
My flat's haunted.
You've got to go into detail about that now.
I'm convinced about
just
it.
By the women in your past, but.
Can we cut that? Obviously, I just hear noises occasionally. Things just disappear, even though I've deep cleaned the whole flat, never found them again. I'll hear noises sometimes if my flatmate's out. I'll hear footsteps almost in the hallway. It's occasionally someone creaking on the stairs. Just gotten used to it, really. To live in harmony with the ghosts.
I badly want to have a ghostly experience.
I've never had one. Never. Nothing close, honestly.
I'm a really skeptical arsehole, so I want them to exist. I really do. The same with aliens, man. I want spaceships.
That was the next question about UFOs.
I want them to be real, bro. You see, first time we got alien contact, sign me up, man. But
well, I mean, there has to be. They're just for a reason that UFOs are a thing. So it's not like someone one day is just how I'm going to fuck around with people. If there's only one clip, the whole Loch Ness, for example, there's a couple of pictures, but there's not really.
That's 100% real. That's a different thing. Don't you dare.
Listen, that's going on the evidence. Bigfoot then. Fuck a Bigfoot. Yeah, Bigfoot. There's a couple of pictures, but there's nothing really sustainable. UFOs, if you just type it in on Google or YouTube, you're going to get thousands of videos of shit that people can't explain. But then you were almost some kind of tourist attraction for them because they never really come down. They don't want to fuck with us. So are we kind of like a zoo to them? They would come and have a little butcher, see what we're doing. They've got a fucking silly disease now, little wankers, and they can't come. What's their agenda? I need to know what they're about.
If I was on a UFO floating over Earth, I would definitely not be landing. I would keep going.
Our default reaction is panic, and then we'd probably end up nuking it. It's like, what do you want? How do we communicate? Just fucking bomb it, get rid. So move on to, again, the most important question. After you've had a shit, it's time to wipe.
stand.
You're going to have to convince me on why you do that. What is it?
Right, I had this debate with my girlfriend last night, okay?
This is important. This is what people want to know.
I am prepared because, right, I'm a big fella, okay? I'm big in size and in girth. And so there's not much room for my hands to go down when I'm sitting on the toilet. You know, and I'm not prepared to go down blind into the toilet bowl, but I've just got... No, but there's still not much room.
But I'm saying, do you go round or do you go through the little cubby?
Yeah, like you stand, like you stick it, you do like a weird kind of pose, you know, you do like a weird pose. You stick it out.
That just doesn't mean you're playing a risky game there, because you can't see what you're wiping, and you kind of just you're leaving it up to the gods. I'm saying, just go in and play. Can you like turn around and actually see when you're wiping?
No, I know where I'm going.
He's actually frozen on. Is that frozen for everyone?
Oh no, compromise.
I can't edit that out. I hope you realise. I'm a folder, but some people fucking animals, and I'm sorry if that is one of you guys in here, just scrunch it and fucking go like that.
That's what Declan written all over it. That does.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's like the type of person. There's 3 urinals. You're on the end, and they go in the middle, and so I'm here. So I'm quite a nostalgic person, yeah, and I found that the stuff that I liked when I was a 12-year-old onwards has just stuck with me, and it makes me a massive loser, but I'm still into wrestling. I even gave it a go. Mate, I even did it for a couple of years.
It fucking sucks.
Where did you train?
It was the ICW Asylum.
Oh, wow, yeah. Fucking hell. Yeah, my
training.
I'm trying to grow up. It sticks with you. And I think now I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck it, I am who I am. I like what I like.
I'm a grown man. I like wrestling. I shit out each other.
Music.
Big, meaty men slapping meat. I'm all about it.
The others maybe aren't as on board with our love.
Yeah, I never really got into wrestling, but fair credit to anyone who's in their 20s.
Like I liked it when I was a kid, man. Like I was like big on to like Big Show and Kane, Undertaker, but like I just kind of grew out of it. You know what I mean?
I never did.
Yeah, to high school. People are like, oh, do you like wrestling? Like,
you know
wrestling's fake? You know, they would call it horrible things, and I'm like, no, I don't like wrestling. Wrestling sucks. And then I kind of grew up, and then I started watching it again, and I was like, wrestling's fucking cool. Fuck those kids.
Yeah, no. 2000, so 2001, where this is what I mean. Wrestling was popular at the time. It was okay. Limp Bizkit had Rolling Out, and that was one of the Undertaker's music at the time. So at the time, there was a very brief period where it was almost okay and cool to like those things. And then like overnight, it seemed to become about So Solid Crew and fucking Garage and you still listen to that? You still rolling, yeah. But and then what did you watch growing up? You can go back to as far back as you can remember. Like what were your shows that got you?
Robot Wars.
Oh yeah,
Robot Wars.
Craig Charles on commentary. Was that his name?
Oh yeah, Craig Charles. Just being
Absolute
on so many substances while being in charge of that show.
Beat for Robot Wars, wouldn't you? Make it 10 times better. I couldn't think of anything better.
Tremendous.
Stoned and watching a bunch of robots fight. That's a quality Friday night.
My best mates actually fought in Robot Wars.
Oh, who?
Yeah, he was the one. He had the submarine one with the action man that had the flamethrower. I can't remember the name of the robot, but
you definitely told me that before. It's tremendous.
Whenever we talk about Robot Wars, I bring it up.
I don't understand how excited this makes me.
Simpsons and then just Cartoon Network, all the time. Just all the looking back, all the really vulgar shows like the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, like Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Yeah.
Just all of those.
I was just totally.
Samurai Jack as well at one point.
Samurai Jack.
All that wrestling and cartoons.
Star Wars for me.
Star Wars, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was just Star Wars. It was like big Dungeons and Dragons nerd, big Warhammer nerd. You know what I mean? That's
That's the Holy Trinity third a minute. Says the wrestling fan.
Stuck with me the longest, probably South Park and Scrubs. About 50 times. And the first kind of screenshot of an episode, I can tell exactly what episode it is.
Oh, yeah.
going to be, and then just quote the whole thing all the way through.
And he has done
many a time.
Well, so South Park's another one. That's another big early influence. What's favourite character and favourite episode, if you can remember a specific one?
I definitely Cartman has got to be the
yeah. I mean, it's
or Randy Marsh.
There's a joke from one of the really, really early ones, and it's like one of those like classic South Park like one-liners where it's like a kind of throwaway joke, and it's the guy who runs the planetarium, and he's like, I have a rare bone marrow disease that makes me unable to pronounce the T in planetarium.
But I have a bone disease which impedes my ability to pronounce the T in planet.
Every time that comes, I'm like in tears, like every single time.
Butters.
Yeah.
Or Squeak is a close second. They buy ninja weapons.
Yeah.
They get like the homeless guy to pretend to be their dad to buy them, and then it kind of turns into like an anime, and then they throw the star in Butter's eye, and then they dress him up like a dog. Take him to the vet. I remember watching that.
He's got it in the eye. And he's so
woof. The pandemic special was genuinely, and this will be a shock, was the first South Park episode I'd ever watched.
Wow.
I'd seen clips, I'd seen bits. Like, I was never really allowed to watch adulty cartoons like that when I was growing up. My first time ever seeing South Park was they did a Rush show at halftime, because they play two sets. They did like a little skip video of South Park, which then led into Tom Sawyer, where they're like doing it to like Huckleberry Finn instead, and then they're like, no, that's Huckleberry Finn, stupid. It's like, I'm getting Lee, I will say whatever I want, and then they actually count into the real songs. That was my first South Park experience, and then me and Jordan's been showing me all the episodes and all the classics, and we've been watching it.
I'm jealous of how much you've got to look forward to if you're only just discovering South. The film Team America as well. Have you ever seen that?
I've not seen that.
We're gonna go through them all.
We're watching Robot Wars and playing Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Favourite movie villain? Who stands out to you?
If you've seen Inglourious Bastards.
That's exactly.
He's not really the villain. He's just the guy trying to do a good job.
But he's a Nazi. Depends really where you stand on that. I know it's
what's his name? Christopher Waltz, I think his name, isn't it? He's interrogating the guy at his table, and they're under the floorboards. Mesmerizing. Love that. So that's a fantastic shot. Really good shot.
He was also in the Green Hornet, the not so great Green Hornet movie. But it was not so great. But him as the villain just like elevated it to this like other level. Yeah. Because it was just a Seth Rogen movie at one point, but then when like Christoph came in, and he came in with the same energy as like Inglourious Bastards, it just made that movie great, I think.
I might go super obvious, and just because I'm not well versed in classic movies, and that's just going with the Joker, The Dark Knight.
Yes, a fair show.
Almost a cliche to really love that character so much, and I know that, but it's a cliche for a reason, because he does such a tremendous job at it. Yeah. I need elaborate no more.
I think I've got it. It's Ash's hand from Evil Dead 2.
Nice.
Did you ever watch the series they brought out, Ash versus series? You remember there's a couple of like really fucking questionable things that happen, quite graphic episode where there's a big fight in, I'm gonna say
it's the morgue.
Yeah, and then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
In the stomach, so he gets sucked up like into his intestines come out, and they ring around Ash's neck. It kind of starts reeling him in. So like Ash's face is in the big hole in his stomach, and it's all covered in shit. And the guy's So the guy's neck is just like right under his chin as well, just flopping around. And it's just leaking. He's just leaking as well everywhere, like piss and shit's just leaking out everywhere. And it's phenomenal.
Oh god, I'm in the butt.
I'll be watching that right into it, and then when that is going on and it's at its most graphic, is when my missus would casually come into the room. My room said, "Watch me. What are you watching right now?" I don't even know where to start, to be honest. That scared you, not in terms of like being rejected or anything like that, but just like from a physical TV character, film character, animal, insect? Like, what bothers you?
I don't know if anyone remembers, but like, do you remember the show Goosebumps?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Right. Do you remember? You know, there was the wee puppet dude, like the wee ginger one with like the wee ventriloquist dummy. The first time I saw that, I think I was genuinely probably too young to be watching Goosebumps. But honestly, like for years afterwards, puppets would just freak the fuck out of me.
Good
like,
reason.
Could not handle it.
Diesel from Thomas the Tank Engine, from the movie, specifically from the movie. And my dad told me that when we went to see that in the cinema, I had to get taken out because I was crying so much because I was so scared of Diesel.
What? How?
Have you seen the bloody bastard, man? He is awful looking.
Oh, in fairness, yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah,
That's terrifying. See the spikes on that.
That looks like a Slipknot mask. It looks
It
like
does,
Mick wears that.
It
No
does look
wonder
like
it's
one of
scared
the
you.
real ones.
I remember the first time I played Half-Life, I had nightmares for a week just because of the head crabs and the zombies, but I was way too young to be playing that. Kind of makes my skin crawl. I think back to, like sleeping on the couch maybe and like waking up and like 1 a.m, TV's on MTV, Celebrity Deathmatch was on.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That was like the claymation, extremely violent. And I remember sitting watching it and just kind of being like, this is extremely weird. Didn't sleep that night. Didn't change the channel, obviously, but I was so intrigued and so freaked out. I kept like, you know, there's a bunch of Tool videos as well that are all like that claymation style. And I remember seeing them for the first time and they just freaked me out. I'm like, can people please stop doing claymation?
Probably seeing the Two Towers movie where they're going through the marsh.
I never really watched the Lord of the Rings.
I was never into either.
I tried with the first one and it was like 26 hours long. And then
it's all walking.
yeah, and everyone was like, oh, that was it. And it ended. And we were like, really? What? That's it? That's the payoff. I jumped on the Harry Potter bandwagon because I was cool like that.
Imagine shitting on Lord of the Rings and then being a Harry Potter fan.
I know. And what are you doing when you have those powers as well?
There's a character in the DC comics and he's called Mr. Nobody. And he's got a cool power where he exists in the lines between comic books. So whatever he narrates happens. But he's obviously he's
really cool.
bipolar. So he is obviously very mad with it. But like I was like, that is a dope power. That is the sort of scale of power that suits Declan. Like
whose life would you narrate? Like would you have to narrate?
That's the easy one. Like, immediately use it to further my own goals.
Probably like Batman's superpower.
Okay. Well,
money. A wealthy inheritance.
I mean, if you do want to make real change in the world, like that's really what you need.
That's it. Like I'm only going to be able to do so much if I can fly or if I can go invisible. But if I have money,
imagine that's legit.
Batarangs, a lot of them. Put the rest in shares.
Or get more GameStop stock.
I'm not gonna lie, you're the worst fucking superhero I think I've ever heard of. You've got unlimited potential to do whatever you want. You're talking about stocks and shares.
I'm not trying to be the best. I'm just trying to be me.
Don't know. Maybe like some sort of like super speed ability, and then I could just like playing the drums would be a piece of piss because I could go like whatever tempo and it wouldn't hurt. You know, like where like I could feel like double bass pedal like.
Gun to my head, I would probably say I'd like Vision's power. See from the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Okay.
So Vision, obviously, the AI becomes humanoid and just knowledge of everything. Completely understands the world, the universe, his place in it. Like.
Do you really want that though? Do you want to be cursed with that much knowledge?
I imagine you've got the Back to the Future. You've got the DeLorean. You can go forward, you can go back. What you do?
Mad Max Future. I just joke with Paddy where like my political allegiance lies with whoever's going to deliver me a Mad Max apocalypse. So like I'll do the worst thing possible to make that happen.
So chaotic.
There's definitely a pattern forming with you, mate.
You get used to it.
To see like My Chemical Romance play King Tut's in 2003.
I would probably go back to days of the Mongol Empire. Like that period of history pure fascinates me. More than anything, I might as well let people know. I'm not using
I just want to paint my nails black and get my emo on. You're like fucking going out there. You're doing shit.
I've been watching videos about like the history of the drum kit to a time where they hadn't figured out to put the bass drum on the floor yet, and they had their feet. And I would blow their fucking minds. I would go like, listen, guys, you can play all this sick stuff and start playing like YYZ. And they'll be like, this is amazing. You are our new musical inspiration. And then like the history of drums will be rewritten by me going back in time. And I become that name for everyone.
Rewriting
everyone
history.
driving along and like 20s.
just before AC/DC were a thing, and just play every single AC/DC riff.
Yeah.
You've got one song that's obviously been and gone, and fucking ours now. We're stealing that one.
Something I can play, because there's no point doing that if I can't play this.
There's a lot of elements.
One song that I kind of remember when it came out was Car Radio by 21 Pilots.
Oh dear, I don't know if we know why we're here. Oh my, too deep, please stop thinking. I liked it better when my car had sound.
And it's like some of the lyrics in that, I was just like, oh, I'm so fucking mad I didn't write this. Car Radio, when you're sitting in silence, you're left with your thoughts. I was like, oh my god, I've done that so many fucking times. Like, Jesus Christ.
Dance of Eternity, Dream Theater. About that kind of music where it's just all instrumental, none of this vocal nonsense, just guys like playing instruments and it being crazy and technical and overly complicated and
just musicians being musicians,
just nerding out and it being like not appealing to anyone other than people that are proper freaks.
A hell song, Sum 41.
Or Fat Lip, like, because Fat Lip is
just a party song that you'll never get sick of playing.
So, like, everybody likes as well, you know, you could put that on a house party and everybody would be satisfied.
All the small things by Blink as well. I think any song that was on an American Pie soundtrack.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Anything that reminds guys of going through puberty, they'll hold those songs dear to their chest.
Came out 99. So now you thought, oh, I'm fucking getting so like Nadia. Twice. You don't know what I'm saying? That American Pie, can we call that a classic?
Problematic looking.
As you so much about it.
The old Kevin Smith film, Clerks. You must have seen with the point being made is that they destroy the Death Star, but it's being remade again, so that there were innocent contractors that would have died.
The Kevin Smith film, Chasing Amy.
Yes.
With Ben Affleck and stuff. I loved all the Clerks movies and stuff. Watched Chasing Amy. Thought it was brilliant, hilarious, and then a few years later, I thought I was with a friend. We're like, let's watch a movie, and I'm like, oh, let's watch this movie. You want to watch the movie Chasing Amy? Like, oh, what's that about? So I explain. It's like, oh, Ben Affleck, you see, he falls in love with this girl, but she's a lesbian, but he doesn't like that, so he's going to try and turn her straight. And the more I went into it, the more their face kind of dropped, and then I kind of started going, I can hear what I'm saying now. Problematic, actually. I realise though, it would have been worse if I still sat there defending myself. Like, no, it's funny, but because she's a lesbian, and he wants her to be straight. You get it?
Laugh.
At least, you know, if you can realise that, I think you're on the right track.
I think we've been at it for an hour. I don't want to keep you guys all afternoon or evening. I'm sure you've got things you want to do. So really happy to have you on. Like, people get onto your music because of the age. Like, I'm happy with that. You guys deserve it. It was a sick album. Sound lads,
thank you, man.
Really appreciate you guys taking the time to speak with me.
Thanks for having us.
If you want me to remove, let me know now.
It might be a couple of things.
We really appreciate that, guys. So thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah,
Too tired to try.